Ach, up, ach, up, ach. Oh, wang, 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 wang.
Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about working until your idols become your rivals. So, if you are like me, a fantasy reader, or maybe a romance or mystery or whatever you read, your favorite authors, both from your childhood and from today, think about those people, and we tend to put them up on a pedestal, like they're different or not normal people. And I've always heard the phrase work until your idols become your rivals, but it's really hard to do when you're just average Joe and no one knows who you are. And you're audaciously assuming you can become the next Stephen King, the next J.K. Rowling. I mean, that's ballsy. It definitely is. But if you're not working, I think, with that level of performance in mind, if you're not trying to push to that level, then your odds of ever achieving it are very, very slim. So you've got to at least believe it. And maybe you won't get there, but maybe you will. I feel like that's the first ingredient to success. And today I'm going to tell a couple of personal stories about how I've worked until my idols have become my rivals. So the story, I guess, begins back in, I want to say 2009, and I could be wrong on the year here, so feel free to fact check me. Um, a Gathering Storm came out. This was I want to say 12th book in the Wheel of Time. And I'm already mangling details. The point is, Brandon Sanderson had been picked to finish the Wheel of Time. And at this time, I was at the low point in my life. So those of you that are familiar with my life story, you're going to hear some repeats here. At this time, I spent all of my time playing World of Warcraft and getting high. I worked a dead-end job earning $12 an hour, really kind of hated my life. Had no inspiration, no aspirations. I'd given up. I didn't believe that I could be anything more than I could be. And I wanted to be Brandon Sanderson. But it's one of those things where you can't see a path to it, where you look at where you're at, and then you look at where Brandon Sanderson is, and you're like, there's no way to get from here to the top of that mountain. Well, I drove down to San Jose for this book signing, and I ended up sitting next to Brandon for 2 hours. And so what happened is you had a crowd of, I'm going to say maybe 100 people, and each of them came through with, clutching their copy of the Wheel of Time to their chest, Gathering Storm. And they would give it to Brandon and tell them why they loved the Wheel of Time, and he would share a memory of or two of his own. He addressed the crowd and told his story about how he found the Wheel of Time, which was identical to how most of us had found it. We remember that big blue book, The Eye of the World, back in 1995-ish, right around then. And how it was bigger and thicker than the rest of the books. And we were excited because when you bought a fantasy novel, if it was only 300 pages, you were done in an afternoon. But this one was longer, and so it took longer to devour. So to hear somebody like Brandon talk, just like every other geeky kid would talk, and realize that anybody watching this, you're very similar if you are a science fiction and fantasy author to Brandon Sanderson, and probably had a similar upbringing. So this person might be an idol. I know he certainly is for me, but I'm working until he becomes my rival. And I believe that is absolutely possible if we put in the work. I mean, I've already come a tremendously long way. I've become an Amazon bestselling author anyway, and I'm working on the Audible one as well. This was 2009 that I sat down with Brandon Sanderson at this book signing. And it's funny because seeing him do this was powerful. But what really transformed my life was not Brandon there, but rather meeting Harriet. So for those that don't know, Jordan's widow, Harriet, also discovered Orson Scott Card. She was his editor. And she was almost as responsible for the Wheel of Time as Jordan himself. Like, she was a huge, huge part of it. And so what I found is, of course, everybody wanted to hang out with Brandon Sanderson, and I did enjoy that. But nobody wanted to hang out with Harriet. And so Harriet was sitting by herself. So I went and I sat with Harriet, and I just soaked up the knowledge. And I heard from her how she discovered Orson Scott Card and how she first received Ender's Game, and it wasn't good enough. And she needed there to be certain changes, and she waited with bated breath for them to come back. So these were my idols. And here I was in 2009, wanting to be this internationally best-selling author and make my living as an author. Well, fast forward 11 years, here I am in 2020, and I am a best-selling author. I do make my living selling books, and I get to tell the stories that I've always wanted to tell. I'm working until my idols become my rivals. And lots of people that have watched this channel have lapped me. So if you think of me as an idol, which I think is weird and makes me feel kind of pompous, but if you think of me as an idol in any way, lots and lots of people have laughed at me where they're like, oh, what Chris is doing seems to work. Let me write an awesome series and I'm just going to keep cranking books out in that series and making a ton of money. And, boom, they're off to the races. You can work until your idols become your rivals and then you're part of the club. And you'll be surprised. Most of us are very friendly and willing to talk to you. And this goes all the way up the chain. When I've talked to people like, Patrick Rothfuss or Brandon Sanderson or Jim Butcher, they're all super, super friendly. They're just geeks like us trying to make a living. And they're still all universally, it seems to me, starstruck with themselves. Like, how did I get here? How did this happen? How did it work? I know I certainly am. Like the idea that I don't have to punch into a clock every morning and instead can do this for a living and write and tell stories. It's amazing to me. I mean, it's still surreal. I can't believe it after doing this for 6 years. My first book came out, holy crap, 6 years in 3 weeks. It'll be my 6th anniversary as an author. So I've been at this for a while and I can't believe it's still to this day. Anyway, I know this is a little bit long and a little bit rambly, but the takeaway I'm hoping for you is if you're not where you're at in your career, keep pushing. Because it's not that big of a stretch to get to the point where your idols, your current idols, the best in the world, the people that are good at this, are your rivals. You push hard enough, and you try hard enough, and you work hard enough, and you network and you learn, and you never give up. It really is about that perseverance, and it can take you really strange places. Anyway, guys, I do need to get back to the writing. I'll give you a quick update based on the last video, because a lot of people were a little bit worried based on my lack of sleep. You can see here, I'm cheerful, I'm happy. I would love to have more sleep, but less sleep is not preventing me from enjoying life. There was a little glimmer of hope. Kalen slept for 11 hours, so he slept through the night for the first time. And, his mom got more sleep and dad got a little more sleep that night. And it's not happening every night, but he is sleeping better and it's proof that it will just continue to improve. So if you watched the last motivational video, do it anyway. That perseverance is serving me well. I've been doing it anyway, and here's the glimmer of hope I needed to know that I am going to get through this tunnel, and this hard time that we're enduring will pass, and we'll be happy that we endured it and got through it. Anyway, like I said, going to get back to writing, and I'll see you guys next week.